Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on something you've probably felt but couldn't quite name. It's this hidden architecture that drives decision making or, a lack of decision making in so many organizations. And trust me, once you see it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. You know the feeling, right? You're in a meeting, maybe for an hour, maybe longer. The problem is crystal clear. Everyone knows a decision needs to be made. But what happens? Instead of a yes or a no, you get, let's circle back on this, or let's form a task force. It's like being stuck in neutral, and it is just so frustrating. And when that happens, our first instinct is almost always to blame the people. We look at the manager, the team lead, whoever's in charge, and we think it's a personal failing, a lack of courage. We're sitting there thinking, come on, if someone would just make a call, any call, we could finally get moving. Yeah, our minds jump to a bunch of usual suspects. We say, oh, the leadership is indecisive, or the company vision isn't clear enough. Maybe we just think the team isn't up to snuff, that they're scared to take responsibility, or, maybe they're just lazy. These all feel like very logical, people-centric reasons. But here's where we need to press pause. What if we're looking at this all wrong? What if the endless cycle of meetings isn't happening because the people are flawed? What if it's the logical, totally predictable result of a system that is working exactly the way it's supposed to? So this completely changes the game. See, the common view is all about blaming individuals, looking for heroes with more courage. But when you look at it through the lens of the system's logic, it's not about character flaws. It's a survival strategy. It's not about who to blame. It's about understanding the incentives and the invisible pressures that are pushing everyone in a certain direction. And here's the secret. The organization you're in, its very structure, isn't neutral. It has a powerful built-in bias. It actively rewards one kind of decision over another. And the crazy part is we usually don't even notice it's happening. Okay, so to get this, we have to understand the two flavors of decisions. First up is the irreversible decision. This is the big one. It's a choice where you commit serious resources, money, time, your reputation, and there's really no going back. The perfect analogy is pouring a concrete foundation for a house. Once that stuff is set, that's it. You're building there. Trying to change your mind is going to be a massive, expensive mess. Then you've got the opposite, reversible decisions. These are the low-commitment choices. They're all about keeping your options open, testing the waters, gathering more data. And the best way to picture this is building with Legos. If you put a piece down and don't like how it looks, you just pop it off and try something else. The cost of being wrong is practically zero. So that brings us to the million-dollar question. To actually make progress, sometimes you have to pour some concrete, right? You have to commit. So why do so many organizations act like they only want to play with Legos, even when what they really need is a solid foundation? Well, the answer has very little to do with what's best for the project or the company. It all comes down to the people inside that system and the two things that pretty much dictate their behavior at work: career risk and psychological safety. And this is where it gets really clear. Just look at the difference in perceived risk. If you make a reversible, Lego-style decision and it doesn't pan out, the fallout is minimal. It's a no-big-deal situation. But if you are the champion of an irreversible, concrete-pouring decision and it fails, whoa, the career risk is through the roof. That's the kind of mistake that follows you around for years. This quote just nails the mindset. In most corporate cultures, if your little Lego experiment fails, you can spin it as a valuable learning opportunity. It's innovation. But if your concrete foundation cracks, nobody calls that learn-in, they call it a spectacular failure in judgment. One looks good on a performance review, the other, not so much. Now, here's how this snowballs. One person making one safe choice is just, one person. But when every single person is responding to that exact same powerful incentive to play it safe, it's not about individual choices anymore. It becomes the culture. It feeds on itself. You can actually map out the loop. Step 1, a big decision needs to be made. Step 2, someone, acting perfectly rationally to protect their career, picks the reversible option, the let's have another meeting option. Step 3, they get what they wanted, short-term safety. Nothing blew up. But now, progress on the actual project is murky. And here's the kicker. Step 4, the organization starts to see this ambiguity not as a problem, but as a good thing. The person who delayed is seen as prudent. The person who wanted to pour concrete is seen as reckless. And that just reinforces the safe choice for the next person and the next and the next. Okay, so you're probably thinking, this sounds terrible. If it leads to gridlock and everyone's frustrated, why doesn't the system just fix itself? It's a totally fair question. The reason is that the feedback mechanisms are completely out of whack. For reversible decisions, the feedback is immediate and low stakes. You schedule another meeting, and boom, instant feedback. Nobody got fired, we're safe. The lesson learned is it's safe to experiment and keep options open. But for an irreversible decision, the feedback is incredibly slow and incredibly high stakes. You won't know if that concrete foundation was a good idea for months, maybe even years. And when the feedback finally comes, it's this one giant, terrifying data point, either a huge win or a total disaster. The lesson the system learns from that failure is simple and brutal. It is dangerous to commit. So here's the big paradigm shift. The system isn't broken. It's not failing at all. In fact, it's an incredibly effective machine that is doing its number one unspoken job perfectly, protecting the people inside it from career-ending mistakes. And that frustration you feel sitting in that pointless meeting, that's not a bug. It's a feature. It's the exhaust fumes from a system that is optimized for one thing above all else: survival. Individual survival, collective survival. The whole thing is built for safety, and the price we pay for that safety is progress. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Organizations feel like they're full of indecisive people, not because they're unlucky or they hire poorly. It's because the system's incentives act like a giant sorting hat. Over time, it naturally promotes the people who are masters of the reversible, Lego-style decision, and it pushes out the people who want to pour the concrete. The system doesn't create this behavior, it selects for it. And that is why that next meeting is probably already on your calendar.